Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to DIYs, guys. My name is Cole, and today we're going to be working on this Whirlpool dryer that won't stop running whenever the door is open. So let's do it together and save some money. So today we're going to be working on this Whirlpool roper dryer. We're going to open the door, get you the model number. Open the doors right in the middle. The model number is RES7745RQ0. And the issue is, whenever we start the dryer up and get it running, when we open the door, it won't shut off, and it's supposed to. So I'm gonna go ahead and start up to show you what's going on. Hit the start button, and now you can hear the dryer is running. So we're gonna go ahead and open the door, and it should shut off. The dryer's still running, but it's not supposed to be. So now you have to come back up here, manually turn it off with your timer. So now we're gonna diagnose the issue and see what's going on. Now that we know what the issue is, we're going to suspect that we have a faulty door switch, because that's what tells the dryer to shut off whenever the door is open mid-cycle. And the location of the door switch is right up front. You open the door, it's this little black tab right up top. Now we need to get access to the door switch and check to see if it's faulty. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our lint filter, pull it towards you, pull it straight out, and set it aside. Now it exposes these two Phillips head screws right here. One here, one here. Now I'll go ahead and remove those with the power drill. You can use a Phillips head screwdriver. We're using this power drill just because it's a little faster. Remove our screw. There's our other one. All right, now that our screw's removed, let's move on to the next step. Now we need to lift the dryer's lid to get access to the door switch. And this could be a little tricky. So the first thing we're gonna do is grab a putty knife, something flat and skinny, and come in from this little crack on the side and slide your putty knife in until you feel it stop. Feel it stop, then you want to come to the front and give it a push in forward and lift up on the top at the same time. And do the exact same thing on the right hand side. Come over here, once you feel it stop, come to the front, push in and lift up. Now that we released the locking tabs on both sides, we can lift straight up on the lid and allow it to fold over. There you go. Rest on itself, and now we have access to the inside of the dryer. Now let's take a closer look at these locking tabs. As you can see, we had the putty knife and we were sliding into the side, and when we hit a stopping point, this is the locking tab, and what we were doing was coming to the front and pushing on this tab to allow it to release. So we did that on both sides. Now that we have access to the inside of the dryer, now let's locate our door switch. It's going to be located right in the front, right here. And to remove it, we have to disconnect this wiring harness right here. And also open the door. And you can see these two Phillips head screws. So let's remove those and move on to the next step. Now let's go ahead and remove these two screws. Again, I'm gonna use a power drill because it's faster, but you can use a Phillips head screwdriver and get the job done just the same. There we go, loosen one, grab it, set it screw aside. Let's get the other one. Let's grab it, set it aside. Now we come back up to the top, and we can lift our door switch straight out of its hole it sits in. Now we disconnect our wiring harness, just grab it and give it a tug, and it should separate. These are our door switches. This is our old one, this is our new one, and as you can see, our new one came with 3 wires and our old one only had 2. That's just because it works for multiple units, but it'll still work in our application. So now what we're going to do is test our old one and our new one to make sure that our old one was in fact faulty, and also make sure our new one is in good working condition. Now we're going to check our new door switch for continuity. And continuity basically is detecting a continuous path of electricity without a breakage or separation. So the first thing we're going to do is move our multimeter to the continuity setting, which is the speaker volume setting, and touch our 2 terminal ends together, make sure we get a tone. All right. That notifies us that we do have continuity and there's no electrical breakage within the circuit. And now we're going to touch one end of our terminal to one end of the door switch on this side, and we're going to do the other one, touch the other end to the other side over here. And once we hit the door switch right here, we should get a continuity tone that sounds like this. So let's check it to see what we get. Now that everything's set up, I'm going to check the new door switch for continuity. So as you can see, We have our speaker volume set up on our multimeter, and I have our terminal ends on each end of the door switch. I just came in through the back side of the terminal because it holds the terminals a little better. So now I'm going to hit the door switch and we should get a tone. That lets us know that there's a continuous path of electricity whenever we hit the switch and that everything's working properly with this one. Now this is our old door switch. We're going to test it. So as you can see, I have the terminals hooked up the exact same way, coming in through the back side, touching each end. And what we're going to do now is go back to the continuity setting on our multimeter. And then once we do, see how we're getting a constant tone. I would normally have to hit the door switch to get that tone, but it's running continuously. That's why the dryer always ran whenever the door was even open. So that lets us know that our door switch was the issue. Now that we've tested both our old and our new door switch, we can install our new door switch with confidence that it's going to fix our dryer issue. Now we're back to the dryer and we're going to install our new door switch. So we're going to come back around to the front. We're going to set the black tab through the square opening, like so. And we're going to connect our wiring harness again. And don't worry, see how one end's tapered? That way you can install it backwards. Then we're going to come around and reinstall our 2 screws and move on to the next step. Now that we've installed our 2 screws and also our wiring harness, the door switch is now secured and we can close the lid. So we're going to grab the lid, bring it back in, and all we're going to do, set it down gently and just push down and it'll lock. Now come back here, put our 2 screws back in and reinstall our lint filter. Now let's go ahead and tighten up our 2 lint filter screws. Be careful when you use an impact driver not to over tighten because you can cause yourself more issues. Let's go ahead and set our lint filter back in. Now that everything's closed up and buttoned up, we can plug it up and test it to make sure everything works properly. Now that our new door switch is installed, we plugged up our unit and now we're going to do a test run to make sure we resolved our issue. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up. Now that you hear it running, I'm going to open the door and it should shut off. There we go, shutting off like it's supposed to. And that lets us know that we completed our job and everything's working correctly. That's going to conclude today's video. I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something. And remember, be a wise guy like me, do it yourself, save some money. I'll catch you on the next one.